Hey, you're listening to episode 10 of the TA Pedals podcast. I'm Tristan.
And I'm Stephon.
What's up, buddy?
What's up?
We're back in the studio together again this week.
Yeah, it's exciting.
I'm really excited because, last week recording over the phone was less than ideal, but we got it done anyway. But, we just got this new microphone for you, and I was looking really forward to, getting like a consistent sound across everything we do. And then, we had some hiccups and had to do the phone thing. And I was like, oh, well, it is what it is. It's just part of the part of what happens. It's life.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But we got it done.
We always will.
So it seems like we're kind of growing just a little bit, like from whenever we first started doing podcasts. Like our audience has grown probably bigger than I was expecting it to.
Yeah, I was right before we jumped on, we were just kind of looking at our Spotify stats, and we're sitting at 53 streams total. And let me see how many listeners we have. 13 listeners, 6 followers on Spotify. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's about, I guess, kind of what I expected, but I'm glad there are people who are actually listening, because we really like doing this, and it's a cool way to interact with people. Like podcasts are, a good thing to listen to, like when you're at work, if you have a boring job, or on your commute. And I listen to a lot of podcasts, and so it's cool to be able to relay information and about our business and stuff to people who are listening. And also, I talk about this a lot, like whenever it comes up about having this need to just sit down for an hour with someone, once a week, and just have a conversation with no interruptions or distractions. It's really, I feel like it's good for my brain in some way.
Yeah. I do look forward to it every week. It's a nice kind of escape from all the stuff that goes on.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we have to deal with, in our everyday lives, where we're constantly being bombarded. Things are competing for our attention, and every week we get to sit down and just talk to each other and, go through thought experiments, like we did last week with the whole technology thing, and it makes you think. And there's also nothing like face-to-face conversation with someone. Like, it's one thing to have a conversation like over the phone or through text or even like through video chat, but sitting, face-to-face with someone, or at least in the same room, is a totally different experience. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's been fun.
Yeah, me too.
So it's our 10th episode.
Yeah.
That's nuts. Like, when you think about it, there are almost 10 hours of us talking on the internet now.
Yeah.
10 hours.
So we're on our 10th episode. We're about to put out our second pedal. We are almost at 300 followers on Instagram. I think we have some pretty good milestones going on today. So
yeah,
it's exciting.
It's really I don't know what the word is. Like, it's unreal. We haven't been a company but for maybe 5 months, 6 months.
It's been, we're going on 7 months, I believe.
That's crazy. And we've just got so many plans, and I feel like our growth is going to be it's going to explode, like we have so many things that are coming together, and it's all going to culminate into this explosion of new products, new pedals, new media to consume. I've been wanting to blog more, And I'm going to try to start blogging more on our website, I think, which will be fun. Like I had an idea the other day for doing a list of like my top 10 perfect albums, like albums that I can personally listen to all the way through. And I don't think there's a bad song on the entire album. And like kind of like saying what they are, but then also giving a description of like why I like it so much and whatever. And I think that would be cool to do stuff like that on our website. It would help keep it fresh, and also maybe give some people, some new music to listen to with things like that.
I think that's a great idea, and I hope Hybrid Theory is on that list.
Oh, there's no way it won't be. Like, there might be a couple Linkin Park albums on that list.
Well, I know, like, Hybrid Theory, it's probably, like, my number one album that I could listen to all the way through.
Yeah,
like,
it's great.
Screw the top 10 thing. Like, that's the number one. But, yeah, some exciting stuff coming, hopefully. And I didn't tell you about this earlier, but I did put in the order for those PCBs.
Oh my gosh, you did? What
did.
PCBs?
Well, I don't know. Like, so the pedal that we're planning on putting out in the summer.
Oh yeah,
that pedal. And then the Vampire Squid V2 prototype. I ordered that as well because I'm really excited to see, how that works.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see if you were able to calculate where the pins of that rotary switch go. It looks right. I based off the data sheet that was given on the specific one that we're going to use, it's a lot of geometry. So you have to have, like, the pins are in a circle and they're 16 millimeters across from each other. The radius of the circle is 16 millimeters. Or is that the diameter? Is the diameter the full length of the circle? I can't remember. I think radius is across the circle.
I think radius.
The middle.
No, I think radius is from the center and diameter is across, because when you think of diameter, it's like a full. All right, so the diameter of the full circle is 16 millimeters, and the inner diameter is 5 millimeters, and so your middle pin has to be on that 5 millimeter diameter, and it has to be perfectly in the center of pin 1 and pin 2. So it's like. It wasn't super hard, but with a little bit of math and comprehension of geometry, like it wasn't too difficult.
Yeah, it's weird to me that, like, out of all the information that's out there wasn't like a clear indication on the data sheet of the spacing of the pins. Like, you can, they're evenly spaced, so like you said, like, you can mathematically, calculate where they need to be, but a lot of data sheets show the pin spacing. And so if it works and it fits, like, you're a genius. That's all I have to say. You really are taking you're going out on a limb doing the math for it. I don't think that I could do it.
I'm really actually excited to see the difference in changes of tone and distortion whenever we use that rotary switch, because we have so many options, and I know at least one of the options is almost forgotten about, and I think it's going to be one of those unique things that you see in our pedal that you won't see other people having, as far as like a clipping option.
Yeah, so have we even told people about the V2 Squid at all? Like, I know we've told them that we're working on it, but have we told them what we're doing with it?
I think that we have, like, gave a light description of what it is, like the fact that it's going to have the feather switch with the relay, and that it's going to have a rotary switch for more clipping options. I think as far as, like, I think we have said those things, but like as far as like the options, the clipping options that's going to be on it, I don't think we've discussed that at all.
Yeah, like that's the biggest difference between version 1 and version 2 of our vampire squid. Like when we put out the version 2, it's going to be like mostly SMD parts, which is really exciting and cool. But the biggest like upgrade in my opinion is we're going from having 3 clipping options on our original squid, which were silicon diodes, germanium diodes, and op-amp clipping. You're still going to have those options, so you get that classic squid flavor, but we're actually adding 5 new clipping options, and we're going to have everything from like different LED types, because different color LEDs have different forward voltage and therefore clip differently. We're going to have we're going to have, yeah, I don't want to spoil too much.
How about like I'll just tell you exactly, because like I know exactly how I laid it out.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
All
go
right.
ahead.
So option 1, op amp, right?
Right.
Option 2 is going to be the blue LED. Option 3 is going to be red LED. Option 4, I don't remember. I'm pretty sure option 4 is the asymmetrical clipping, and it's going to have a red LED in it. And the 5th one is going to be the weird clipping that pretty much everyone's forgotten about. But like it's I always forget the name. It's like a Zener clipping or something like that, and it uses transistors as clipping. It's kind of weird, but like and then you have where am I at? 6, 7, and 8 are the typical diode clippings. So we're gonna have silicone is gonna be 6, and then 7 is Schottky, and then 8 is germanium. So like essentially it's gonna go from light clipping to deep clipping as you turn it up.
With the exception of op amp, right? Because I think the op amp's going to clip more than the LEDs, but
Because of the way we have it set up, I don't think so. Because it's a single directional diode that's clipping it instead of just like leaving it blank. So like since we do have that single clipping diode going to ground, I think it's probably the lightest of the clippings.
oh, okay, I gotcha. That makes sense. Well,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
the forgotten clipping mode or whatever, it's weird. Like when you sent it to me, it kind of threw me off a little bit, because like, people clip transistors, all the time. Like that's what, like your fuzz face is, and like your big muff is transistor clipping, but like the way that it's set up,
The way that clipping is,
yeah,
it's really
so
weird.
different. It's so different than anything that I've ever seen, and I'm really excited to put it in a pedal and have something that I've never seen in a pedal before. I've never ever seen it in any other pedal.
Well, the pedal company that originally created it is not a very big company, but they are known for that clipping. Like they're the ones that created it, and it's like one of those things where you only see in that particular instance, and like not a lot of people are replicating it because it's just not your typical thing, but it does sound cool. I do think it's like a very unique flavor of sound, and I think it's gonna work well with our vampire squid circuit.
That's so exciting. Yeah, I mean, we when we decided we were going to do V2, I was like, we could do a rotary switch, and here's this rotary switch, and it has 8 options. And, you were like, yeah, let's do it. And then like, I was like, well, no, maybe 8's too much. Like, let's back off a little bit. Let's just add 2 more.
I think we originally were like, let's do 5. And then later on, we're like, you know what? Screw it. Let's just do 8. And we'll just figure it out.
I thought that I went back and forth on it a couple of times. Like, I thought that I said I wanted to do 8 and then said, no, 5. And then I was like, no, 8. I could be wrong.
But there was a pretty big gap from whenever you said, like, let's do 5. And then then coming up with the final decision, like, let's do 8. Like, there was probably at least, 2 months of a gap from that decision.
Yeah, I was like, well, I want to add value, as much value as I possibly can to the pedal, as much versatility and as many different options as we can fit. And the only other thing we could have done was go to a 12-point rotary switch. And to me, I think that is too much. Like, I can't.
I don't even know if we'd have to have a full SMD board in order to even fit that. Like,
yeah, exactly.
There's no way. Like, the board's full and half of it's SMD, and the diodes and the LEDs and stuff are not SMD. So like, in order to make it that much, like adding 4 more clipping options, we'd have to find a way to get SMD diodes and stuff like that, and that's just too much.
Yeah, I mean, 12 is like, for me, I think I would experience like option paralysis, like when there's too many options, it's not a good thing either. I think that 8 is a good number where you can say like, wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of different kinds of clipping in one pedal, but like, it's not overwhelming. It's not too much. And there's some, clipping types that you don't see in a lot of other pedals. So I think that we have made the right decision in going with 8 options. It's still a lot of options. Like, even 8 to me is like not overwhelming, but it's like, where do I go with it? Like, what can I do? And when you're playing, like if you're playing a live show, if you're doing a recording, or, I mean, I guess recording is a little different, but if you're doing a live show, you can only play, no matter what scenario you're in, you can only play one clipping type at one time. So like,
unless you have 2
squids, yeah, get 2 squids
or 3,
but
or 8.
Yeah, run all 8 clipping modes at the same time, one into the other,
or just like flip one on, flip one off, or whatever. I don't know. I think it's gonna be cool to find out how, like, whenever I get my own personal V2 and plug it in next to the V1, having like the V1 set at like op amp, and then having the second one at like, like one of the newer clipping diode. I think those, how that's going to sound is going to be interesting. I can't wait to find that out.
Yeah, me too. It's I'm really excited to have like a rat style distortion with LEDs in it too. Like Proco has done that before. That's what they call the turbo rat, and the LEDs in that circuit turn it more into like an overdrive. So that's going to extend their like response and the drive amount that you can get drastically.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm really excited about, is maybe to use the squid as an overdrive, and then I can crank it and go into like, big muff territory and just tear it up.
That'd be pretty cool.
So yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah. I can't wait I just can't wait to get that going, because I'm really, really excited to find out how that's going to turn out.
Do we want to let everyone in on what's going on with the shark now?
Yeah.
Okay. So
we had a slight issue with the print of the enclosures. So we had to send off for a reprint basically. And I don't know, they'll probably be here within the next week, but until we get those enclosures, like we can't put them out for sale. But we got the PCBs in; those are ready. Just waiting on those enclosures to come in, and they'll be ready to go.
Yeah, and it's gonna be sick. Like, even though it's been kind of a long road with the Shark, it's really gonna pay off, and I'm excited to get it out and let you guys see what we've been working hard on for so long. It's a really unique pedal and unique design, and no one's quite done it like we have, with this particular circuit. So I'm excited about it, and I'm trying to have patience while we wait for those new enclosures. It takes quite a while to have them manufactured for us. And so, anything that's off, any mistake we make with things like the PCBs, the parts ordering, the enclosure printing, like the part choice. Like when I'm ordering parts, there's a lot to sift through, and if I order the wrong thing, then we have to wait, a couple more weeks to get the right thing. It's just part of the process, though. Like when you're developing a new piece of gear, it's going to go through certain hiccups, it's just inevitable. And you have to filter through those mistakes and really refine and revise the product to make it perfect and exactly what you want before you put it out. And I'm glad that we're doing that. I'm glad that we have this standard that if it's not right, we're not just going to sell it to you.
And it's better that we make those mistakes now. That way, whenever we get into the territory of whenever we're actually like a full-on company and doing this full time, we don't have to worry about making those mistakes.
Yeah, it's a learning process, and like there's nothing wrong with that, like I've made so many mistakes doing this, and every mistake I've made, I've learned from it, and now I know so much more than I used to. And there was a quote one time about like, you're going to make mistakes whether you want to or not. So it's important to make the mistakes fast and learn from them. Like the quicker you can fail and recover from it, the better off you're going to be in as far as making progress. Like instead of, making a mistake and letting it stifle you or get you down or make you quit what you're doing, you just learn from your mistakes, as cliche as that sounds. And, that's what we're doing. We're not going to give up on this. And even though it's been a long journey for our, the development of our second pedal, it's like once it's finally out, it's a product that we can be proud of. And we don't have to second guess ourselves like, well, maybe we should have done it this way, or maybe we should have done it that way, or whatever. Like it's exactly what we, want to put out. Aside from the blend knob, we'll figure that out later.
I think like the second version of the Shark will definitely have a blend knob, and I think that by the time we're ready to do that, we'll have a better understanding. And what we really need is more time to develop a proper way to put the blend in without impeding on the rest of the pedals, flavor, volume, all that kind of stuff. We don't want to take away from that too much. So that's essentially the reason why we took out the blend, is because it was taking away from that stuff. And so like later on we can, after like more research and stuff, we can find a way to add a blend without losing any of those things that we definitely want the Shark to have.
Yeah, it was like the functionality of the pedal was kind kind of limited when we added the blend knob. Like, for example, when we had the blend circuit in there, something was affecting the impedance of the guitar signal as it went through the circuits. And so whenever you turned the treble, mids, or bass up, mostly the mids and treble, the pedal would start to self-oscillate, and it would create this high-pitched whining sound, and the frequency would change based on where you had the mid and treble set. And like, we know that like there are other pedals that do that, even the one that uses a similar topology from a different company, their pedal does that, and we did not want to put a pedal out like that. And like, no hate on the other company, it's just that like we saw an issue with the circuit, and we were like, well, there's got to be a way to fix that, you know. And unfortunately, like, the blend knob as we had it was not compatible. It caused impedance issues, even though like we jumped through every hoop and did every test we know how to do, and it didn't make a lot of sense like why it was happening. But we realized that what fixed the problem was adding a buffer. Like, so the Shark is going to have, the way that we've set it up is it has a high quality buffer before the input of the relay, which is going to be really cool, because that means your signal is going to be buffered even when the distortion circuit is not engaged. So if you need a buffer, you can use the Shark as a buffer without even having to engage the distortion part of the circuit. But having that buffer before the relay and always on, it makes sure that your guitar is at the correct impedance to go through the distortion part of the circuit and make the EQ and the distortion completely functional. Like, you can sweep the full range of the EQ section and the distortion with absolutely no feedback or oscillation problems. And that took a lot of time and effort to figure out. We did a lot of testing, and, you know, unfortunately, you know, the blend had to go for this round. But when we had the blend in there, it limited the functionality of the pedal so much that it wouldn't even be worth having the pedal. And we can't put out something like that. Like, I've said it, you know, several times. If I'm not gonna be willing to put it on my pedal board personally, if it's not good enough for me, if there's issues with it, I'm not gonna sell it to someone else, you know. So we as, you know, me and Stephon, as the head of this company and the people who set the standards, we have that type of standard for quality. And if it's not good enough, it's not good enough, and we're not going to do it. So that's, you know, we just had to make some revisions and do what we thought we needed to do. And we're happy with the end result. And we know you guys are going to, you know, love it too. It's essentially like, it's probably the best distortion pedal you'll ever play. That's all I'm going to say. If you want if you want a Marshall style distortion, this is it as far as we're concerned. It's not the only one, but it's probably the best.
the range that it has as far as the 3-band EQ, it changes so much just with a small turn. Like, it's crazy, like, how much range it has. Like, I'm really proud of it. Like, even with, like, yeah, I would have liked to have the blend on it, but the way it is, the way we're going to put it out, like, I'm proud of it, like, so proud of it. It's going to be a pedal that I'm going to love probably till I can't play guitar anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like because we put so much time and effort and money too into it, on the research and development side of it, it makes it something that feels really special to us. Like, for me personally, like, it's this step up from what the vampire squid was in so many ways, as far as like how much Stephon was able to pack on the board. Like it's all through whole components on the shark, and it is absolutely jam packed. And so not only did like we have to figure out how to fit all that stuff on there, but also it has surface mount mini potentiometers for the EQ, and regular size potentiometers that are board mount right angle potentiometers. And so like we had to do all of the measurements for like the drilling and stuff, because if any, oh yeah, plus the toggle switch, like there's a toggle switch below the mini potentiometers too. So like that's crazy. So there's you know, there's 6 different components in 6 different spots, like that have to line up perfectly with the graphics and with the holes that are drilled through the enclosure. And it all has to be absolutely perfect as far as like the hardware mounting goes for it to work. Otherwise it won't fit through, you know, the enclosure. And also we're doing like a relay bypass. So there's a lot of components on the bottom half of the board. And so even the bottom half of the board, it extends all the way. Essentially the PCB goes from the top of the pedal to the bottom of the pedal, and there's no wiggle room. And we have to fit the foot switch underneath the board, even though the potentiometers are surface mount.
And we had to get a special foot switch that was a shallow, shallow.
It's
length.
a short shaft.
Short shaft. When I think of short shaft, I think of short shift, and I remember like if you want to like have less shifting time in a car, you get a short shifter.
Oh,
it's funny.
Okay.
But like a short shaft, we had to get a short shaft feather switch just to make sure that it'll fit under the PCB.
Yeah, like with our normal foot switch that we would normally use, it's just too tall. It has too much on the threaded bushing to be able to fit underneath the PCB. And so like what I'm saying is like we had to calculate everything mathematically to make sure everything would fit together absolutely perfectly, because if it's not perfect, it won't work. So not only did we have to engineer, you know, the buffer and the distortion circuit and everything, we had to actually engineer the like how the PCB fits inside the case, and it's a lot. It's a whole lot. And so I'm thankful that, you know, we've taken this step forward in our pedal making career, because it's so much more complicated than what we did with the squid. And the squid is fine, but we did off-board wiring. Even though we had our custom PCB, we did off-board wiring because of the placement of the pots and stuff. And
which I wouldn't change at all. Like,
it's perfect.
That layout, the layout of the squid is absolutely unique, and it's my favorite. Like, if I could do that on all of our pedals, like I would in a second, but sometimes it's just not practical.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. I mean, yeah, you did a great job on that first PCB. Like it's perfect for what we wanted. And what's really cool is we're still keeping that same layout on the version 2, and we're going to use those surface mount potentiometers too. So it's going to, like, with the surface mount stuff, the reason, if anyone's wondering or not familiar with like why you would want surface mount pots or, you know, like pads,
lugs.
Yeah, or like pads on the board where you can use right angle potentiometers, it's because then the board is physically bolted to the enclosure, and it creates more stability than just having like a loose PCB inside the board. So, you know, if you're going to be stomping on something and using it as a stomp box, you know, as most of us do, we use our feet to press the buttons and stuff, or press the switch. You want it to be stable. You don't want it to be falling apart, you know, and like even after, you know, years of use, you want it to still be solid. And so even though like the vampire squid, I would say like the version 1 is pretty solid because of how many wires have to be attached to it, and like the way we've placed it inside. It actually is extremely stable, but I think, with the way that we're doing our new boards, it can be better. And that's what, as far as I'm concerned, is always something that I push for, is like thinking, can it be better and how can I make it be better? And with the surface mount pots and, all that stuff that we're doing, it is better. It's just better. And the shark was challenging in that way, like doing something we've never done before to create a very solid product. Like that PCB, once it's in the enclosure, it's not going anywhere.
It's not. It's not.
There's no way.
I made specific like little cutouts in the PCB so that it'll fit in, like, so at the bottom of the enclosure it has like those rounded pivot things or whatever. I made the PCB have those same rounded pieces so that it'll fit perfectly against those, and it's not going anywhere once that happens.
Yeah, like in each of the corners of the enclosure, there's like a little rounded hump that is like 45 degrees towards the center of the enclosure, kind of, I guess. And it's where the screws attach. Like it's where the back plate attaches, and those are where the screw holes are drilled. And so Stephon had to, like make the PCB shaped so that it fits around the hardware of the enclosure. Like it's crazy. That's how much space it takes up. Like it has to fit around the metal of the case. I've seen other companies do stuff like that a little bit. Not as far as rounding the corners and stuff, but like companies that make a PCB that takes up the entire enclosure, and like Boss does that a lot. And regardless, of whether it has the cutout or not, just being able to fit that much hardware inside and all of the components and make it fit is nuts. It's just crazy. Like, you have to really take every single little thing into account. And if you don't, it's not going to work. But we got it.
I think starting like once the V2 is out, I think from that point on, I think every board that we make is probably going to have some SMD components, if not all SMD components, because that's just the way it is. And for us, like the amount of stuff that we want to do and put in a single pedal, it has to be as small as possible, and the only way to do that is to go with SMD parts.
Yeah, the only way that we could fit some of our ideas into, like that small of an enclosure, or I guess what I mean is like to fit that many parts into a pedal, we would have to get a bigger enclosure. And I'm not against that by any means. I have some pedals that are bigger and they're all cool, but I'm very fond of the 125B enclosure because it's like the standard pedal size. And what is valuable to guitar and bass players who have pedal boards and they like to use lots of effects is real estate. And you have to take into consideration that we like a lot of effects, and the more effects you can put on a board, the happier and the easier you can fit them on your board, the happier you're going to be. And so if we don't have to go to a bigger size enclosure, I don't want to either. But I also, like, for future projects, not opposed to it for like special editions and things that are just too complicated to fit in a 125B. I'm okay with going bigger, but if at all possible, I like to stick with the 125B. It's my preferred enclosure size. And, I'm glad that we are switching a lot to SMD for several reasons. Like we've talked about future proofing and stuff, and how a lot of components are becoming obsolete and they're no longer manufactured. And by going SMD, we're going to gonna save ourselves a lot of headache in the future. That's what I'm most excited about, is just making our lives easier in the future by just going in, and getting it done right now.
Yeah. I'm all for it.
So,
it's joke time. It's joke time.
I think you're really going to like this one. Why is it hard for people in Athens to wake up?
Why?
Because dawn is tough on Greece.
It is, though.
It is.
For real, though, it is. Like, I have a house that had a garage in it, and if there was like any oil stains in there, put some Dawn on it, it's gone.
Oh yeah.
Like, that's crazy. And I could leave. I'll have to say something though about it. Is like, it's not as good as it used to be since they switched to those like opaque bottles, like when they had the clear bottles, you remember, like a long time ago.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Those Dawn, that version of Dawn was the best Dawn. And now that they have the opaque Dawn, like the opaque bottles, that Dawn's not as good though.
I agree. But have you ever washed a duck covered in oil with Dawn?
Yeah, I've seen some videos, yeah.
I've never done it myself, but I've always wanted to, just to see like how good is it really? Like, are you really able to save a duck's life with some dish soap?
For real. There's a lot of articles and stuff that talk about that specific thing, and I believe it's true.
Bonus round.
It's joke time. It's joke time. 2 jokes. Wow.
2 jokes. I've got them coming this week. Never buy flowers from a monastery, because only you can prevent florist friars.
Okay, that's a good one.
I really like that one.
It's good because I grew up in California, and Smokey the Bear was like the staple mascot in California.
Oh.
So like that's good.
I'm not gonna lie, I have like 4 more jokes that I could tell, but I'm gonna save them till next week.
That's a good idea.
Oh my gosh. Like, I've been coming across some really good ones lately, and it's hard to hold them in. Like, I'm laughing right now just thinking about them. I'm about to cry. Oh, anyway. So, is that it?
Yeah, I think so.
We don't have anything else to talk about today?
I mean, there's lots of stuff we can talk about, but I think we're like nearing the end of our time limit, so.
Yeah, pretty much. We're at 43 minutes. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think anything else that we talk about is gonna be less than 15 minutes. So
yeah, that's true. It's like, I kind of, before we got on the podcast, we talked about, maybe we should talk about like the ancient history of like stringed instruments, or even like get into the alien thing. But either one of those is going to be like a full topic.
It's a long discussion. So I think it's a good idea to end it here.
Well, thank you guys for listening. 10 episodes in. It's crazy.
10 episodes in.
10. We turned 10 today.
10 weeks old.
Not years, but 10 episodes old. So, thank you guys for listening. And it's always a pleasure to get to connect with you guys. If you have any questions that you want us to answer on the next episode, shoot us a message on our Instagram or email us at tapedals@gmail.com. We love answering questions, and if you have any concerns or anything you're curious about, please contact us.
Do we have a messaging set up on our website?
I don't know. If we don't, we should.
Yeah, we'll check that out. And if y'all are interested in messaging us with any questions, or just want to, comment on us or whatever, like we have Instagram, we have our email, and like I guess we're gonna find out real soon if we have that option on our website, and if not, we're gonna make it. So
That's right.
You know, any we want to give you guys all the chances you can to be able to talk with us on a personal level. But other than that, I think we're gonna get out of here.
Yeah, because one last thing, just one last thing. You know, it's about to get really deep and emotional for me. You know,
With the thunderstorm in the background.
yeah, it's raining outside. There's thunder. It's setting the scene. I gotta just say something. You know what I like more than making pedals?
What?
Making friends.
Making friends? That's good.
Yeah, and I want to make friends with all you guys. You know, if you're listening to this and you're interested in what we're doing, we probably have a lot in common. You know, you love effects. I love effects. You make music. I make music. We should talk. So, yeah, please hit us up. We would love to be your friend. And I'm going to leave it at that. It's, balls in your court. And we'll make another podcast episode where we talk at you and you can listen. But we want you to talk to us too.
Yeah.
Bye.
Well, did you already stop it? Okay.
Nope. Mike's
right,
still yours, buddy.
No, okay. All I was gonna say is that, like, if we can get a good connection with people out there and develop some good friendships, I think we've got the phone call thing situated enough to where we could have a guest person on, soon. I think.
Oh yeah, we could do that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we can, right?
Yeah.
You have 4 inputs on that thing, right?
I have. There's 8 inputs actually, but yeah, we could. There's
Yeah.
enough to do that for sure.
So yeah, we could, like, if anyone if anyone was interested in being like a guest on our podcast, like, shoot us a message and we'll have a conversation and see how that goes, and if everything goes good, like, we'll we put into consideration on giving someone a call and having them up on our podcast.
Yeah, that would be a blast.
I think that would be cool.
It would be really cool. We could it would add another just one more dimension to what we're doing.
Yeah.
Get some people involved.
Ogres have layers.
It's true. I hear that onions are like ogres. Or something. Anyway, bye.
Bye.